All right, thanks, Chris. Good to see everybody. Kind of feels weird not doing this on a Zoom, but definitely good to see everybody. Hope everybody's well. Excited to get started. It's a great day. Just had our first team meeting. Felt great to see the guys again. They had a little break after a pretty long, but I think very productive session of conditioning with Coach Wiley and his staff this summer, and so good to see all those guys, and certainly excited to get going. Can't believe this is camp number 7 for me here. Hard to believe now. Where'd the time go? It's hard to imagine, but it's fun. It's I think all of our favorite time of the year. A chance for a lot of hope, a lot of excitement. You really look forward to it, and maybe this one more than most, just because of all we've all been through in the past 18 months. So absolutely. Absolutely thrilled to get back on the field and go to work with these guys. It's been, as I said, I think the lead up to this fall camp, the quality of spring that we had, the quality of off season this summer. I think there's a lot of excitement and obviously a lot of work to go. So we've prepared hard. I think we've got a great plan, and I think the team is in great spirits. A lot of really good leaders on this team that I think have really pushed this team, through the different periods up to this point, and have really set the tone. So can't wait to get started. Health-wise, guys doing well. Ethan Lane still recovering from a knee injury, and he'll be limited here, during camp. But really everybody else on the roster right now is full go. Also want to announce the return of Trey West to the program. He dealt with some personal things this spring, but he'll be back with us and ready to go. So excited to have him back in our program. Very promising young player that did some nice things for us last year on the field. So excited to have Trey back. As far as all the things going on with the conference right now, I'll answer the questions that you guys have today, and then after that, as a team, coaches, leaders, we've all decided that the focus after this press conference with me today will be on the 21 season, the opportunity at hand with this team. And so, any future questions, anything like that, will all be directed, to this season. And so would ask that you please respect that. So with that, we'll turn it over to you guys and take some questions.
Start with Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Lincoln, just starting right there with what you mentioned, what was your reaction to really the last couple weeks with the news to the SEC? When did you become aware that was a possibility, and just have you been surprised by the speed that everything happened in?
Yeah, I had some general knowledge, but like a lot of you guys, things like this, you never know that they're going to happen until they become official. And I think there's been so many talks, not all certainly conference related, but going on about, how college sports are changing, all that's going on. And I think everybody across the country has really been taking a step back and looking at, where do you stand individually within a sport or an entire program, an athletic department. And so we've certainly been no different there. My reaction to it, I think for the future, it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be, a positive thing for this university, a positive thing for our athletic department, our athletes, our coaches, everybody. So I think that's, it's exciting to think about, but I guess for me it's tempered because, the task at hand right now, and there's, it's like scheduling I get it it's bigger than this, but in the same vein, it's almost like scheduling a really exciting conference matchup that years down the road. Sure, it'll be great when it happens, but that doesn't matter for right now. For right now, we're a member of the Big 12. We think we've represented the conference, well in these previous years, and intend to do so throughout the duration of our agreement, and that starts with this year for us, and that's going to be our focus. And honestly, any excitement, personal feelings I have are really overshadowed by that, because I know we all have a job to do right now.
Eric Bailey.
Lincoln, the announcement really caught everyone in Stillwater off guard. What are your thoughts on the status of Bedlam, and is Oklahoma State a school you'd consider scheduling down the road as a non-conference opponent?
Yeah, no, and I think we've made that, I think our leadership has made that clear that we hope to be able to do that. Certainly respect the history of that game, and it's been, you know, a lot of fun to compete against those guys, to play a game that means so much to this state. And certainly I think everybody here at OU, it's our hope that we can continue that, because it has been a great game, a great matchup, a university, a program that we got a lot of respect for, and a lot of respect for the history of it as well and what it means to the state. So certainly our intention and hope that it can continue.
Okay, Jenny Carlson?
Hey, Lincoln, I was wondering if you could give us a little insight on what you've seen in the relationship and the bond between Josie and Joe Harris. I mean, obviously, Joe Harris is new in his current job, or relatively new in his current job, but just wondering if you could sort of reflect on how those two have worked together, because obviously now their role in this move to the SEC just such a big deal.
Yeah, you can certainly tell that they have a synergy. You know, you could tell that they've worked together on a lot of things for a lot of years. You know, I think they're friends, they're colleagues, and I just don't think you can put a price tag on those experiences together. You know, leading into this, I can certainly feel a difference there, and you know, and I think that's important. You know, you look at it from, you know, my position or our position in football. I mean, you're two bosses, you're two, you know, leaders of the university and of our athletic department. For those guys to work as well as they do together, I think they complement each other in a lot of ways. And you know, just to be aligned and to have that history together, I think, you know, made a big difference in this process, and it's going to make a big difference for everything else going forward.
Jason Kersey?
Wanted to ask you about Spencer. He was up in Chicago last week doing an autograph signing. He's done a lot with the NIL stuff. What have your conversations with him been like about that stuff? And do you see that affecting anything about his play on the field moving forward?
No, I mean, I think with all our players, we set some pretty clear guidelines from the beginning. You know, some of those are legal issues, whether they're state law, university policy, all of that. Some of those are more internal policy. And I think some of it is just clearing the path to make sure that you do first and foremost, what you came here to do, you know, which is, one, get an education, and two, develop and do well on the football field. And those things haven't changed. And so I think with all of our players, Spencer included, NIL can be a great thing, but it can also be dangerous. It can also be detrimental in the long run if you if you don't handle it the correct way. So yeah, we've had good, honest conversations. You know, just like any player, I want him to be able to capitalize and do extremely well. I want all our guys to be able to do it, but you know, in the end, it'll be best for everybody involved if, you know, the team plays well, the guys play well individually. That just brings success for everybody, and that's what we're after.
John Hoover?
I wanted to ask about recruiting, specific to the SEC. What kind of boost do you expect? What kind of, I don't know, kick will, what does that, you're already in the Southeast because you recruit nationally, but does that open channels for you that maybe weren't there before?
I mean, some of that remains to be seen. You know, I think our recruits, you know, future recruits, families, all that are obviously aware. Everybody on the planet's aware of it right now. But again, it's still out in the distance a little bit for us, and so I think it'll be a very positive thing when the time comes, and it'll certainly you know, be part of conversations with recruits that, you know, that will and could potentially impact their careers. But again, at the same time, there's still kind of so much right here in front of us right now, and so it's again, I think all projections for it are very positive, but they're projections and they're down the line. And so are we going to have the conversations? Yes, we're going to have the conversations, but you know, there's still I think a lot here right now, a lot that this team's about, and we're always pretty careful that we don't want to have two different messages with our team and with our recruits. You know, we get that it's a part of it with those guys, and we got to have the conversations, but you know, we're trying to keep the focus right here, both for our recruits and our players, as much as we can right now.
James Hale?
You know, Lincoln, at Big 12 Media Days, you talked about how important the center position was in your offense because you're so much in the gun. Could you get into that a little bit? And it seems to be a position that you really don't know who's going to win that job right now. And could you talk about that at tackle too? Because it's hard to tell if you've got a clear idea who's going there and who might be playing there.
Yeah, no, the combinations are there's a lot of them right now, which is a good thing. But you know, it means we've got a lot of work to do and a lot to sort out here. You know, in the next several weeks and throughout the season as it evolves. But yeah, first the center position. It's a vital part of our offense. It always has been. You know, one, we put a lot on that position mentally. You know, we really rely on that position to have us in the right calls and to do so much of to be able to handle all that we do. And we do a lot offensively. I mean, compared to most places, we're pretty demanding there. So, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence. I mean, you look back, I mean, just about every center that's played for us is either playing in the NFL or they've coached for us. I mean, you know, it's not a coincidence. So it's, you know, it's a big position. You know, we're going to look at several guys. We're going to look at Chris Murray there. Did some nice things in the spring. We're going to look at Andrew Rain there. We're going to look at Ian McIver there. Nate Anderson. We're going to look at Congle. I mean, we're going to look at several of those guys there and see, you know, and see, you know, where we stand. But it's interesting just because we've got, you know, 4 guys there that have played and done it, and so that's a really positive thing for us. The tackle position, again, you know, you've got a few guys that we, you know, are probably tackles and only tackles, you know, with you know, Anton Harrison and Wanye, you know, so obviously a couple others, but the majority of our guys can play both. You know, Tyrese played some tackle this spring before he got hurt and was really doing well. Swenson's got the ability to play just about anywhere on the offensive line. So we're gonna take a good hard look at everybody. Again, a lot of great combinations, but I'm encouraged by the summer that we had there, and it'll be our job to find the best 5.
Dean Blevins?
Lincoln, I'm curious about the NIL. I think we all woke up and we saw the $1 million quarterback deal at Alabama. Wondering about that, and really more about, has it changed? Do you anticipate it changing in terms of being focused, being an idea, changing the amount of time you have to do other things? How big of a change is it for you and your team and moving forward this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something. It's another thing on our plate that we have to monitor and try to find a way to make it an advantage for our team and our program, and that's been our focus. I mean, again, we know it can be a good thing for these players and families, and so at the end of the day, that's the case, and we want our guys to be able to capitalize, but we're trying to find, and admittedly, I think there will be some trial and error through this. I mean, I think we're all learning. It's really new. We've tried to go back to our core principles within our program that we believe in, apply it to this. We've tried to teach our guys about, just like we would blocking off time for academics or blocking off time for extra film or recovery, whatever it is. We've tried to be able to do the same thing with this NIL so that, you know, guys can have an amount of time where they can get it done, but it also doesn't take away from the bigger goals. So, yeah, it's just another piece to the puzzle, and it's another thing that I think if a program, a coach, an individual player, if you do it well and do it the right way and everybody's on the same page, it can be an absolute positive. And it's obviously something that, if not done well, can be a detriment to a player, it can be a detriment to a locker room, and I'm sure we'll see some examples of both as we go forward.
We go to Jesse Crittenden.
Hey, Lincoln. What was your players' reaction to all the SEC news? Did you kind of hear from them as the story broke, and what's kind of been your message to them regarding that as fall camp starts tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we talked to them a little bit about it as some of the news started to break, but to be honest, was it discussed among players? Sure. I mean, these guys are getting ready to play camp, you know, getting ready to go into camp. These guys are getting ready to play and try to win position battles and go win games and championships. And so, I think for them, it's news. It's certainly, something they're aware of. You can't avoid it, but at the same time, it's not reality for us right now. And it's not gonna change things for a lot of those guys in that locker room right now. So I think our leadership has done a good job setting the tone for that, making sure all of our players, our young players, understand that, if any talk about conferences and what's going to happen in the future takes away even the smallest bit from this season, then that's a shame. It's a shame. So we've got some good leadership that I think will lead the charge there. And again, this is not just come up here and speak at the microphone. I walk out of here, I'm not going to be back there talking about conference stuff. We're going to be getting ready for practice and seeing how we can get this team to be our best.
Okay, we'll go to Murray Evans, AP.
You mentioned at the start, you still have the Big 12 schedule this year, and I would say this decision didn't go over well in a lot of the other Big 12 courts. Do you think you're going to be treated any differently on the Big 12 road for as long as you're still in the Big 12?
I can't speak to other schools, their fan bases. Pro games are always fun. They're always hostile. We might, and if we do, then we do. Not going to change our goal, our mission, or what we're there to do. So we're going to try to be great members of this league as long as we're a part of it. And, this year being no different. And I'm excited about the league. Got some really strong football teams in this league and a lot of great individual players, teams, coaches coming back. So it should be a heck of a battle.
Mason Young.
Yeah, we get Delta variant, COVID-19 on the rise, obviously all of us in masks today. What, if any, heightened precautions are you taking in light of that, and how much more important is that this year, considering you might, if you lose a game to COVID-19, you might not get that back? Yeah, no, it's we all, I think, felt like this was over, getting close to being over, and it's not over. And so it's we are taking still a lot of precautions. They're different with our vaccinated versus our unvaccinated players. And I commend our team. I think we've done a great job up to this point, of getting a high percentage of our building vaccinated. And so we're in a really, really good place there. But at the same time, it's going to be a factor this season. Just like last year, it's going to be something we're going to have to overcome, use to our advantage. We're going to have to be aware of, try to be in front of. And so we're certainly not taking it for granted or taking it lightly right now.
Kerry Murdoch.
Hey, Lincoln, you recruited really well, especially at the safety position. I'm just curious, we didn't get to see Jeremiah in the spring game last year, but what did you kind of see out of him and just that overall, whether it's nickel or, free, strong, whatever, safety position overall?
Yeah, I told you guys in media days, I think he was one of our most improved players this spring. I thought he did a fantastic job. He's a young guy that came in as a talented player. We knew that. He's been a hard worker from day one, and you see, like several guys on our team, you see the wires starting to connect, and you really see him starting to get in a good place physically, get in a good place mentally. I think he's confident in, how hard he's worked on his body, how the job he's done learning our defense. He's just kind of steadily improved himself in all areas, and you just see it starting to show up really on the field and show up consistently. So he's an extremely hard worker. It's very important to him. You typically get his best every day, and for a young player, that's how you improve. We've said a lot. It's not the one miracle moment where they make this magic jump. It's just the consistency, and just if you can get their best every day, then a lot of times you see those guys, you all of a sudden you look up and guys have turned themselves into pretty good players. And so I'm excited for him, for his opportunity. He's been a great team guy, just a really, I think, beloved on our team, just with the energy he brings, always for his teammates. You can't get enough guys like him. So he's going to have a great opportunity, and I would, fully expect him to be a big part of our secondary.
You're just, a couple years removed from where, Pat and Delarian basically had to play every snap at every game for you. How much is just the depth there progressed from your recruiting as well?
Yeah, no, it is. It's gone from, in some positions, especially defensively, it's gone from how are we going to get this guy off the field to, we go to try to create reps for a lot of guys, and opportunities for a lot of guys, because there's so many guys, I think, that are able to play, that are going to be ready to play and ready to contribute. And so it's good. I mean, it creates competition. It pushes guys. It creates the opportunity to rep guys and get their very bst reps in games and not have to, get into survival mode. It develops guys for down the line. I mean, it's all positive. So you see that at a lot of positions on our football team, and you certainly in the last few years see a big jump there defensively.
Myron Patton.
On that same note, you said back in the spring, your receivers, the bar set pretty high, and last year that they didn't really meet what you wanted. For guys like Jalil Farouk, who wasn't here in the spring, can they get in the mix just going, can they climb over some guys? And you got your Marvin Mims back and Mario Williams. How important is it just those guys continue that competition?
Oh, absolutely. No, they certainly are going to have that opportunity. I mean, I think in any year, we always have guys that we bring in that end up surging to the top of a depth chart, and that's something we've always prided ourselves on here, is trying to create a runway for every player that comes into the program to get on the field, and if they are going to be the best player, then you got to give them a chance to do it. And sometimes an older guy's, a comfort zone, or they've made plays before, and sometimes you factor that in. You got to factor it in, but sometimes you can factor it in too much. We try to keep it about right now and who can be the best to help us win right now. And so they're going to get those opportunities, and obviously, as we've said, we have a high expectation in that room to make routine plays and make some of the big explosive plays. And we had some really positive moments a year ago, but we know we can do a lot better. And so that's going to be a big focus, and every one of those wideouts is going to get a chance to show us why we should be throwing them the ball.
Brandon Drum.
Yeah, Lincoln, just as they were talking, some of the younger guys, overall, you guys have brought in a lot of transfers. You brought in a really good 2021 class. Through the spring, through 7-on-7s, through the summer workouts, is there a select few guys that you guys have kind of noticed that are working their way up? I know it's only been one practice, but through all that, and then obviously guys like a Wanya Morris and a Key Lawrence and all those guys, how have they looked since they've shown up through the spring ball and on?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell the difference between a transfer that's come in and has been in the college football program, played college ball. So the majority of our transfers that have come in have been a step ahead there. But I would say, of our newcomers, I mean, this is their chance to go prove it right now. They're going to all get their chance. But I looking at these guys physically right now and seeing what we've been able to see on the field of the guys, I mean, I think there's certainly a lot more in there that have potential to help us right away than that maybe are a year or two away. I mean, that's been a little bit by design. I mean, I think when you factor in the transfers and the guys you're bringing in, I just, I don't know that you're going to be taking a whole lot of, quote unquote projects anymore. I mean, it's just kind of the way of the world. And that's one of the consequences of the transfer portal, is it's not only as if you're a recruit in any class, go name it, 2022, 2023, it doesn't matter. You're not now just competing against everybody in your class for these different scholarships or spots. You're competing against every player in the country, because as we see, there's going to be a whole bunch of them in that transfer portal. And so, but I'm excited about the group we have. That young group it's always one of I think the things I look forward to most in camp is seeing where those guys are at, watching them improve. So can't wait to get on the field tomorrow and see them, but I think there's a lot of promise in there.
Lincoln, Theo, Jaden came in huge expectations. Uneven first couple of years. Have you noticed anything physically or mentally to show that those guys are ready to take that next step?
Yeah, I mean, they're both healthy, which is, gosh, really, I mean, they both had some moments where they were healthy, not healthy their freshman year, and obviously they both had some bright moments in that true freshman year. And Theo obviously got to play a lot for us last year. Had some great moments, had a lot out there that he can go get and be better at, and we'll expect to get. didn't have him this spring as we got some things healed up on him, but he's full go and ready. I think Jaden is, fully away from that knee injury now. I mean, confident, running without a brace. I mean, looks, physically as good as he has since he's been here. So, yeah, you feel like the table's set for him. I mean, you do. And I give the two kids credit. They've worked hard. I mean, they really have. They've I think, since the opportunity and that they have right now. And I think there's kind of like Cradell. You can kind of feel some things starting to line up for these guys. And, now they've got to go do it. And but everything I've seen of those two up to this point, I would be surprised if they don't.
Back to Jason Kersey.
Yeah, Lincoln, you've spent the bulk of your career in the Big 12, and so I'm wondering if there's any part of you that's maybe sad about the idea of the conference dissolving or being splintered. And secondly, your history at Texas Tech. I'm sure you still have some degree of affection for that place. Are you concerned at all about Texas Tech's future?
Yeah, I mean, personal feelings of the Big 12. Yeah, I mean, I love this league. I have. I mean, I've grown up in it, as you said, majority of my career. It's been a great league to, follow. When I was a kid before I was involved in it, and it's been a great league for the majority of my career. So yeah, is there some sentimental feelings about it? Of course there is. I mean, there's a lot of great people in this league, a lot of great teams, and I'm excited about the next opportunity when it gets here. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have some of that. Yeah, as far as the other institutions, listen, I get at the end of the day, our responsibility is first and foremost to our employer and our institution, and mine is there too. But I know the quality of individuals at Texas Tech and all the other institutions currently in this league, the quality of programs. Those places are going to do very well. You don't just because some things change doesn't mean that all of a sudden you don't have quality places, quality program, people, fan bases, all of that. So I think those programs are all going to do very well and all still continue to be a big part of college football and college athletics.
Jenny Carlson.
Lincoln, you've used the word excitement or exciting about both the current team and the season you're going into and this conference shift. There's obviously this great expectation for what this year could be for your team. Is there any level of, I don't know, remorse is probably not the right word, but something that, there's this other big story that has now ballooned over all of college sports that, there is gonna be this other thing going on at the same time that you guys could have, what might be your best season. How do you sort of wrap your head around that and your emotions heading into that?
Yeah, I think, eventually, talking season's getting ready to be over. It's time to put the pads on and go play. And that'll be the story here. That'll be our focus. So I don't honestly think of it in terms like that. I mean, to me, I just see it's something that we can't let get in the way of what we're trying to do. And add that to the list of a million, now it's 1,000,001 things that we can't, let get in our way, or things that we have to overcome or do well to reach our goals as a team. And so, no, I don't have any remorse about it. I get that, people are going to have to look at the future. I get that the game's changing, college athletics, so much is changing right now. And it's our job to stay focused on the task at hand.
Okay, James Hale.
Lincoln, your backup quarterback situation, Caleb got all his academics over, so he's a full-time college student now, which I'm sure you're happy about. Micah, you had a full summer with him now and things like that. So when you look at those guys, you feel like they're close to being ready to go for you?
Yeah, I think this spring, Caleb was clearly our second guy. I mean, I don't think there was any question about that. We'll see where we're at when we get back on the field here tomorrow morning and throughout camp. But that's certainly where we left it off. And I think we're really looking hard for a third guy right now. Mike is certainly going to be in the mix. Ben Harris is going to be in the mix. We brought in a walk-on from the Metroplex, Ralph Rucker, that's going to be in the mix. We'll take a look at Carson Gross there. I mean, we've got really 4 guys that we're going to try to take a long, hard look at, and we'll see. We'll see what they're about. That's not the easiest place to rep that many guys just because, typically the third quarterback's not going to get just a million reps. We're going to try to create as many as we can to get a look at it, but that'll be a good battle to see who emerges from that and potentially becomes our third guy.